Hey everybody, welcome to Fifi Quest. Here we go, just getting comfortable here. How are you guys doing? Yeah, I don't know what's going on wherever you live, but here in Los Angeles things are really scary and sad. You know, I just feel bummed out and the protests have been going on since Saturday. Earlier in Saturday. Even they've been going on for about 5 days now, and I guess I just don't have a ton to talk about other than kind of how I feel about this, and a lot of I guess Fifi Quest, this whole project was about, it's mostly about how I'm transitioning, not just into a woman, but transitioning into the person I want to be. And sometimes that involves like funny trans stuff. A lot of it involves, how to develop spiritually in a way that helps me and how to develop new abilities or new, I guess you call them coping mechanisms or ways to handle life or deal with life. And part of that is learning how to deal with scary things and sad things. So I guess today is, good time as any to talk about that kind of stuff. I feel really sad about what happened to that man, George Floyd. He seemed like a really sweet man. And, can't believe Minnesotans did this. Like, I mean, really? Guys? Minnesotan cops did this? What happened to Marge Gunderson? Huh? What would she say? God. I mean, I'm goofing around, sure. And you know what? Like, not that... That's something to be said, too. Not that, like, as some of you know, I grew up in a really small town in South Dakota. Actually, I grew up in a big town for South Dakota. A big town in South Dakota is 25,000 people. And, that's what my town was. But, yeah, Minneapolis is not really that, but it's not huge either. But I think some of these smaller places, like I remember I saw there was a protest in Bozeman, Montana, where I lived for a while, and I'm really glad that there was. And if you're thinking about organizing a demonstration and you live in a small town, personally, I recommend it, because if you grew up in a place like that, maybe you grew up in a place where there are literally no black people. That's way more of America than people realize. That's what South Dakota's, obviously it's a generalization, but I mean, it's mostly just white people. And cops in those places, they think they're off the grid. I mean, I don't even know if I want to say that. I don't want to generalize, but it's been known to happen where sometimes, like cops in my hometown, Aberdeen, South Dakota, they have a history of thinking, hey, no one's paying attention to what we do. Small town politics can be corrupt as shit because, what internal affairs kind of federal organization is watching them? It's just not worth anyone's budget for the most part. And I guess what I'm trying to say is I was happy to see protests happen against the police, demonstrations against the police happen in areas where you don't think of police brutality against people being an issue, because as someone from a small town, I think that's a good idea too. And I don't think you're just like, when I was a little more, like, tell you what, the boy version of myself, if I were living in Bozeman at the time as the boy version of myself was and they had a demonstration like that, I would have either thought, oh, fuck these people, they're just trying to prove how, oh, we get it, you're not a redneck, I'm so proud of you. Or, you know what? Or, you know what? It could have been that I would have been one of those people who just wanted to break something. You know, I haven't seen this personally, but I've heard about, from people I trust, saying that, like, a lot of the damage being done in LA is done by people who you don't really, I don't think their endearing love for their fellow man is really motivating this. I think there's a lot of people who are just furious inside because of shit they're not dealing with, and you know, there's enough of a pretext to have a target and to say, I'm in the right to do it, and then they're doing it. You know, I could have been that person when I was living as a boy. Definitely felt that way inside a lot of the time. I don't really think I had the balls to do it, and by the way, too, and I tweeted about this and I posted about this. It's, if you're a woman in Los Angeles and you're listening to this, and you were involved with the protest, I want to tell you thank you, because, like, you know, you guys have been hearing me talk about how transitioning has really made me believe that I have a lot to give to the world, and the world is waiting for me to give it, and they're happy for me to give it, and they think it's so cool that I could give it. I guess in a metaphysical sense, not like in an egotistical sense. But, you know, when this started, I gotta admit, I got really scared. I'm like, cause like, I'll just, look, I don't know a lot of the girl rules yet, guys. You know, fact of the matter is, men are bigger, and I'm taking drugs to make me less big and less strong. In a physical sense, and I don't want to get in a situation where maybe maybe a guy is threatening enough or able enough to get out of this if it goes south, and maybe a girl isn't. I started doing this during the quarantine. I have zero experience with any of that. I don't start talking shit, I don't want to Karen out on some cop and then get a baton to the teeth and end up in guy jail. I don't know the rules yet, but so I just got scared. But I gotta tell you, seeing women out there involved in these protests and going and giving people care and cleaning up afterwards and getting in dangerous people's face when it was warranted, I really appreciate you guys, because you guys really showed me and helped me the kind of woman I want to be. And I don't know what that is yet. I don't think I really need a plan. I think just following my heart and making it as simple as possible is the way to do that. But, you guys showed me the kind of woman I definitely don't want to be. And that's the kind of woman who just sits around afraid and is ineffectual and goes, poor me, what can I do about anything? That's not what I want to be. So, by the way, I should point out, I don't look at like the Twitter feed normally. I don't go on CNN normally. Just because I don't find it, there are other sources I get my news from. So I don't know what makes me think that it's a good idea all over due to sun when I know those things are going to be at their worst. So I feel like sometimes it's just like I'm addicted to getting freaked out and scared and getting geeked out on some drugs. See, I don't even know if you guys can hear this right now. There's sirens going out by outside. But sometimes I feel like I just do that just to justify, like, everything is as horrible as it can possibly be. I have to hide. I feel like a lot of addictions are about hiding, for the most part. They're just hiding out from life, one way or another, and I definitely did that for a long time. But, I guess I wanted to say that I went down to... I was not there the day when things got really scary. I went down. They said there was going to be a march in Hollywood. A lot of like the worst stuff in LA is going on either downtown or is going like just on the cusp of Beverly Hills by a place called the Beverly Center. I got something online that said, "Hey, there's a demonstration going on in Hollywood," and I went there. And I'm like, well, and there was nothing there. So I just thought did I just get bad information? I didn't know what. So I got out of town for a second where I'm just like, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I got, like, disinformation or something, and I just felt weird. And so I wasn't there at Beverly Hills, but I went there the day after on Fairfax, where a lot of stores were smashed out, and I went just with like water and sunscreen and sanitizer and just would like hand it out to people who need it. Sometimes when like big complicated things are happening, I look for a simple good thing to do, if people, because then I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how to fix America, but, I do know people who are cleaning stuff up need water and sunscreen and they need sanitizer when there's a coronavirus going around. So I just decided to do that. And you know what? I walked around. It did not, I promise you, it does not look as bad as it does in the news. It's definitely not a good thing, but people have insurance. This is something we can fix. It was fixed up pretty darn well, for what, 8 hours of cleanup that people maybe been at it maybe earlier. I don't know, but not every not every bad thing is a world-ending disaster, I'm trying to remember to give human beings a break. And yeah, human beings can do some dangerous, scary, awful things, and they can do some great things too. And like, the people in my life who are in, like, getting cured from treating addictions is all about getting a community of people. It's one of the most important things. When coronavirus happened, a lot of people, I thought, like, oh, gee, how are we all going to meet up? And the infrastructure to help people up with stuff was open like that. Like, in an hour, within an hour, people with the disease of rampant selfishness figured out a whole network to help people like that. So I never forgot that during coronavirus. That really made me feel good. So I don't know what the answers are. We just can't accept. You just can't expect people just to continue accepting getting treated this way. It's just not okay. I mean, and in LA, cops don't harass me. They don't. And there are times, like, I've talked about how, like, going out, and what a wonderful thing it is that I can go out in the world and be who I am as a transgender woman, and how life is generally happy to see me when I come out. But, like, who's kidding who? If I, like, that belief is a reaction formation against a fear that I might get hurt really bad. So I just, it's really, really, really different, obviously. I mean, who's kidding who? I'm still white. But, like, in a way, I know, I have fear when I walk out sometimes too. Like, hey, it wouldn't take much for this just to go bad for me sometimes. I talked about I was going to go up to Montana for a while, and I was going to drive. I don't know if you know a lot about geography, but between LA and Montana, there's some states in the way that maybe you don't think of as, like, there's a lot of trans people there, or how down with them their residents are. And do I think I can do this? Yeah. But is part of me scared? Yeah. It's not like part of it was going, I'm going to do this to prove that I can. Well, doesn't that prove that I have something to prove to myself? And I guess I'm just trying to say, like, I really feel bad for anyone, for any reason, who feels like they're just trying to be themselves in their own skin. And someone might have a problem with just that and hurt you really badly, and maybe the people who claim to care about that kind of thing turn out to not do it very much. That just makes me really sad. And like, frankly, like, I've got a lot of look, and part of this, part of what I've been thinking lately is, like, is my, like, belief that life is good just stupid? Am I, like, just, Is my life I just feel good until the big... Am I just waiting around twiddling my thumbs for a horrible thing to happen? I used to think life was just that. And, minimize the amount of time in life to a bare minimum, because the more I got out in it, there was just more exposure to horrible things. And it's really... I do know when I lived that way, my life sucked. I nearly killed myself. And I wasn't of any use to anybody or anything. And when I believe that life is good, and I'm good for it, and for the most part, like, there's some bad, fucked up things in life, but for the most part, it's a great thing. When I believe that way, I feel better, and I can be of more help to other people, and sometimes I think, what? If Anne Frank can write in her diary that she still believes people are basically good, maybe I'm just a pussy. Maybe Anne Frank's ghost is just floating around my apartment right now, be like, I got killed by Nazis when I was 12, you piece of shit. Quit your moping. I don't know. And sometimes I say, like, I have a lot of coping mechanisms for reconciling the bad things in life, and a lot of them are kind of, they're very, like, I don't know, like, hyper-logical, and, like, you can tell a boy kind of came up with them. There are a lot of things like, well, I'm way more likely to die in a car accident than I am to be involved in a hate crime or getting something, or the victim of prejudice, and I still drive around every day without fear, and I text and drive, and, like, yeah, okay, sure, it's hard to... That's not really an appeal to feelings. Kind of an appeal to logic, and, I tried to logic my way out of feelings for most of my life, and it's terrible. I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. It certainly didn't work. But you know what? I do have an appeal to feelings too, because when I feel like life is a good place and people are mostly good, I feel a lot of love, and that's when my life is at its best, and it's when I see more love around me. And I lived my life for a long time thinking, yeah, well, this horrible... I was so tuned in to every horrible thing and all the ways life could go wrong, and, fuck life, this could happen, and it didn't... That's when I was the worst possible version of myself. And I mean, like, for me or anyone else. Unhappy, not a good friend, not capable of contributing much to the world, and not capable of receiving anything good from it. And you know what? It didn't protect me from anything. Worst case scenario, I've had terrible things happen to me in my life. And in a way, I'm kind of grateful because they taught me they if I can just feel them and let it go, I can. They don't ruin my life. Maybe only I could ruin my life if I choose to. And maybe, I don't mean any of this as advice to anybody, because this is just what I do to deal with these kinds of things. You know, I don't. I don't know what should happen, and like I'm tired of pretending like I do or I need to. I don't. And maybe too, like it's. Maybe too, it's a kind of maybe I'm being spoiled, like thinking stuff like this. Just maybe I'm spoiled thinking terrible things just shouldn't happen in life. You know, life is. Life's not a. Life's not a shopping mall where it's just everything is just fine and brightly lit and there's frozen yogurt. And if I have a problem with my experience, I can complain to the manager. Maybe life's not supposed to be that. But I'm not even talking about like specifically about what's going on now. I just mean bad things in general, and I don't. One thing the protests really taught me, and everything's going on in LA right now, really taught me I'm not tough. I'm not. I spent a lot of my life pretending like I was, and yeah, I'm not tough at all. Maybe I can do more in the girl. Maybe I can do more good in the world accepting that. Well, I hope you're all safe. I mean, I mean, I even hesitate to even say anything like this because I don't. I'm really upset with our mayor, and now he's handled some of these things. Like they would do these things. You'd get an alert on your phone that say there's a curfew. Like, first of all, the curfew is like, it's different for different areas of LA, which is, I mean, it's fine. It's, different cities. It's a huge place. I get it. You don't need to be freaking everybody out. But, like, literally today, we got a message at 3:30 p.m. saying there's a curfew at 6 p.m. tonight. Guys, I'm not bullshitting you. 4 minutes later, we got another text saying it's at 5 p.m. And I don't see, that's either grossly incompetent. By the way, do you know few people can get home in 45 minutes in Los Angeles? What are you, a fucking tourist? So I don't see any reason to do that other than to just cause, just cause disarray and give a pretext to just arrest anyone you want. And like, you know what, too? I've seen some videos of the LA chief of police. He seems like a sweetheart. So, and look, I'm not even going to get into the, conspiracy theories of shit I've heard about, cops escalating things or not. And, from what I've heard, everything was going peaceful until the cops showed up. And even, like, it stayed peaceful after some particularly violent things happened. And, but, like, yeah, I'm really disappointed with our mayor, Eric Garcetti. I'm not as knowledgeable about him as I should be, but one thing I've noticed is after previous mayor, I can't even say his last name, is Villaraigosa, I think it is, like, homelessness has gotten out of control, and his handling of this situation has just been contemptible in a lot of ways. And, I remember Barack Obama wrote that article, and, say what you will about him and how certain things he's done contributed to the police response to some of this, but, he said something like, prosecutors, district attorneys, mayors, the local elections that people care about the least, they have the most direct influence on the police in your city and who sends people to jail. And I think voter turnout was in like 20% in LA last year for the mayoral elections. I'm not even gonna pretend like I voted in it. I don't even remember. I don't remember. I might have had a mental health day that day for all I know, and jeez. I'm not gonna miss. I want to definitely do better about that. Let me pull up some stuff real. I don't know. Just I got to talking about this, so why not? My friend Toby Mauriciano, he's a comic. He's extremely, extremely knowledgeable about, he's probably, like, in my opinion, there's so many political comedy shows, half news, half comedy shows. In my opinion, he's the only guy who should have one. I love his opinions on everything. I think he's just a tremendous person to read and follow. If you live in LA, every local election he has out, he usually writes us some big primer of everyone. He's very, very politically active and knowledgeable. He's a good person to read his writings for. I'm going to definitely do more work and do the hard, boring research work of, what's going on in my city council, what's going on, really looking at my mayoral candidates. Because, I think, I'm certainly not, gonna yell at LA for having a 20% voter turnout when I don't know if I can confidently say that I've given 20% enough of a shit about these kinds of things. So I'm gonna try to do better, all that, and, so I guess that's all I got to say on this episode, everybody. I hope you all stay safe. Take care of yourself, take care of others. And, I guess I will, just check in with you next week. So, as usual, thank you for listening. If you want to write into the podcast, I have an email set up at, fifiquestpodcast@gmail.com. And that's it. Good night. Love you guys.